What's up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Ernie, Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Doomsday Clock, baby! I've said it before and I'll say it again. Doomsday Clock, I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave. This book is 110% certified lit, delivering on many things we've wanted from Doomsday Clock since the miniseries was first announced, answers to some lingering questions, plus raising even more questions. It's time for Doomsday Clock number 7. But before we get started, if this is your first time checking out my channel and you want to see more awesome videos like this one, it only takes 2 clicks to become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. Click, click. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, I'm probably not gonna touch on everything, not every single little piece of minutia that happened in this book, because man, there's a lot going on in this book. But right off the bat, we get the definitive answer to why there is no Justice Society of America in DC Universe continuity at this moment in time, and the answer is kind of messed up. We know that Alan Scott, the original recipe Green Lantern, we know he got his powers from a mystical green flame, which was actually a meteor, that fell to the earth in ancient China, and from that flame came a voice that gave a triple prophecy. 3 acts that would bring death, bring life, and then finally bring ultimate power. And from there, the man who found it in ancient China forged it into a lamp. As a result of what was then thought to be a sacrilege, the local villagers killed this man, resulting in an explosion of green fire and fury that decimated all around it. 1 prophecy down, 2 more to go. Many years later, the lamp fell into the hands of a patient in a mental hospital who forged the lamp into what was then a modern-day train lantern. The green flame returned and gave this man back his peace of mind and sanity, therefore giving him his life back. The second prophecy was fulfilled. By the time the lamp makes it to the 1940s, it was supposed to come into the possession of Alan Scott, who worked the rail yards during a bridge collapse. However, Dr. Manhattan, Big Blue himself, pulled the dickest move of dick moves and moved the lantern 6 inches just out of reach so that Alan Scott would never become Green Lantern and died in obscurity. What a dick! This possibly led to a cascade of other actions that Manhattan has been pursuing that have systematically led to the Justice Society having never been formed. Because without Alan Scott, you could still have a JSA, but he was there in the beginning. This issue spins a lot of plates. Let's just be upfront about that. But Jeff Johns does a masterful job in maintaining the pace of this 7th entry. We get to see so many little nods about what is going on in the wider world of the DC Universe around this time period as Doomsday Clock is moving on and the rest of the DC Universe is catching up to the events of said moment, because you gotta remember, by the time we get to the end of Doomsday Clock, the rest of the DC Universe will be exactly where Doomsday Clock ends. The fact that Russia and Markovia, though at odds, are still managing to work together, as witnessed by Geoforce and his outsiders still teaming up with Posar and the rest of Vladimir Putin's crony quotey finger superheroes, big science action, the premier super team in Japan and the Justice League's equivalent there have now been rebranded to Big Monster Action. I don't know if this is even like a publication thing or just like an in-continuity thing, but that's their new name, and they are facing down kaiju like it's going out of style, and who knows, maybe it is. In the streets of Calcutta, the Doomed, a seemingly rebranded Doom Patrol, maybe, I don't know, I never really read Doom Patrol, have been saving children from human traffickers thanks to Animal Vegetable Mineral Man eating the would-be criminals. And China's leadership have been under attack by Australian metahumans. The Superman theory is just getting more and more traction, but the only Superman anyone seems to trust, is Superman. His absolute zero allegiance to any one country leaves him in a free agent gray area that pretty much every country, no matter who they're at war with, can agree on. Superman is still one of the good ones. Which I think is a really interesting commentary if you consider that once upon a time ago, Superman, they did kind of retcon that whole, truth, justice, and the American way shenanigans. They got away from that and just kind of made it just, truth and justice. Because, they didn't want Superman to seem like he was taking favorites in the world. I mean, because, he is an alien. Not like he's actually like, American or anything. This whole tale takes a scientific turn, though, when Rorschach, Saturn Girl, and Johnny Thunder reunite with Ozymandias and Bubastis. Because now that they have Alan Scott's lamp, Bubastis is now the key to finding Dr. Manhattan. How, you may ask? Well, back in the final issue of the original Recipe Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan and Bubastis were both disintegrated by the intrinsic field subtractor that disrupted Manhattan's existence, but only really managed to cause him a minor inconvenience. Bubastis, on the other hand, was killed, so Veidt took this opportunity to try and clone Bubastis, but without positive results, until he used the DNA of Bubastis from after his body was struck by the subtractor. Thanks to his DNA and Manhattan's DNA being bonded together, and now with Bubastis having undergone the same rebirth that turned John into Dr. Manhattan, Bubastis can now track his location and help bring him back to this plane of existence, much in the same way that a magnet would attract metal. Because comic books, and they trace him to a location that happens to be precisely where Joker, the Mime, the Marionette, the Comedian, and Batman happen to be, Joker's hideout, where Marionette is marveling over all of the Joker's wonderful toys. But of course, drills are just as fun to torture people with, so Marionette goes all in on Comedian to get the whereabouts of Dr. Manhattan, because, he technically was, one of the last people to actually see him. But they don't realize, technically, Dr. Manhattan is already there. But before Marionette can have too much fun, Batman gets free, and we get to see just how much damage arrested Batman can do against the Mime and the Marionette. Or maybe the other way around. Between invisible bullets and razor-sharp Marionette string, Batman has his hands full with the Mime and the Marionette. But once Rorschach and Ozymandias get to the scene, minus Johnny Thunder and Saturn Girl, and you will learn why soon enough, Veidt uses Bubastis and the Lantern to literally drag Manhattan back into this reality. And thanks to Rorschach's journal, Batman knows exactly who Dr. Manhattan is. And because Joker sees Manhattan's dong, he knows more about Big Blue than he cared for. And yet somehow everyone was so triggered over Batman's penis in Batman Damned. Go read Watchmen. Dr. Manhattan takes the denizens of his Watchmen's world far away and explains to them that he is not coming back. He will never come back, and more importantly, he's busy. Manhattan has been puzzled by something he can't see, a certain point in time where everything stops for him, and he isn't sure if it's because he's going to die or because everything is going to end. Could be tachyons. You never know. Tachyons? I don't know. I'm gonna go with tachyons. It worked last time, right? Dr. Manhattan also reveals he's quite the tea spiller. We now know the true reason Veidt enlisted the Marionette and the Mime on this clandestine mission is because the second Silk Spectre told Veidt that he once took pity on them for having a child. But we now know that Manhattan didn't spare Marionette because she was pregnant at the time of that bank robbery, where Manhattan had a moment to kill her and didn't. It was because he saw what her child would do in the future. And when Marionette asked what her child did, Manhattan simply asked, which one? Because unbeknownst to her, she's pregnant again. We don't get the answer that the Marionette was looking for because Manhattan realizes that he often confuses what will be and what has been thanks to how he perceives time. The other bombshell we learn is that Veidt doesn't have cancer. He isn't dying. The one bargaining chip he used to keep Reggie from killing him is now gone and off the table. And now that it's gone, Reggie's conflicted, tormented, and feels utterly betrayed and used, well, because he was. Veidt admits 100% he lied to Reggie because he knew he could easily manipulate him by pretending to be dying. Even more so, Veidt tears into him for even being Rorschach in the first place, because one of the things Reggie never really knew, despite his access to his father's journals thanks to Mothman, there were still things that Mothman kept from Reggie about Rorschach and his father's relationship. Mothman hid the parts about his father losing hope as a result of his time trying to rehabilitate Walter Kovacs, that it destroyed his parents' marriage, and that they died not in reconciliation, but in utter hatred of one another. Things that we, the readers, knew because, we read the original recipe Watchmen. Reggie didn't, but Reggie didn't know these things, and now that he's been wearing the mask of the man that indirectly brought the downfall of his parents' marriage and by proxy his childhood and happiness, Reggie flies off the handle, beating both Ozymandias and Joker bloody by one point and declaring Rorschach is dead as he removes the mask and leaves. All the while, the mime and the marionette plan to have some baby shower torture shenanigans with the comedian somewhere else. Also, might I add, the mime and the marionette have the Green Lantern right now, so yeah. They probably shouldn't have that. Now, if you want to make matters worse, Adrian Veidt is up to some shenanigans on his own, and we don't know exactly what his plan is, but now that he knows Dr. Manhattan won't help him, and the cat is out of the bag about his supposed cancer, we can definitely say that with all certainty that he doesn't just plan to save his Earth, but every Earth, seeming like he's planning on doing something that could possibly kickstart a crisis-level event. It's gotta be something big because he made certain that Saturn Girl, a telepath, wasn't with him when his true intentions were revealed and seemed to not trust her from the start. And now we know that that's why, because he knew she would be able to figure out what he was thinking. And now that he's knocked both Saturn Girl and Johnny Thunder out cold, he's now moving forward with his new plan that, if we're gonna go by the original recipe Watchmen story, will likely go down as probably the second dumbest plan in the history of dumb plans, because yeah, his plan was pretty damn dumb. We also know that somewhere in Jerusalem, Black Adam is up against someone and the shish has hit the fan, and all we hear over the TV footage is, "Beware the Creeper." I want to say one of y'all in the comments said something about the Creeper, and I can't remember who it was, but goddamn. So the Creeper coming back, y'all. The Creeper is back in DC Comics. Another tidbit is that someone with a little blood on their hands, I don't know, maybe Reggie? Who knows? I mean, he was the last person that had a lot of blood on his hands. I mean, that's a good place to start. Whoever it is, they're delivering something to Lois Lane, so we definitely may see her in Doomsday Clock number 8. More importantly, will she get caught up in the shenanigans that Dr. Manhattan foresaw? Does Lois get got in Justice style? Because we also know that whatever it was that has Dr. Manhattan shook likely involves Superman, because at the end of Manhattan's visions, the last thing he can see in the future is a red-eyed, angry Superman who is about to deliver a Superman punch for the ages. So like before, one of two things is happening here. Either Superman kills Dr. Manhattan, or Dr. Manhattan does something that causes everything to end. I mean, once again, we don't know what's really going on here. Tachyons could be a play again, because we gotta remember, tachyons were his weakness in the original Watchmen series because it kept him from seeing the future. It made it very difficult for him to see future events, so we never know, this could be the case. But anyways, let me know what you think about Doomsday Clock number 8. What do you think about this, this tease that we got now? That's gonna be Superman in one corner, Dr. Manhattan in the other corner. And let me know what you think about what's going on with Reggie and his putting down the Rorschach mantle. Sound off in the comments. Make sure you go swing by patreon.com/blerdwithoutfear, chuck in a buck and you'll get exclusive content straight from me, the Blerd Without Fear. Also, don't forget to check out the weekly podcast, Powers Not Included. That can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play every Thursday. If you enjoyed this video, Superman punch that like button. And if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers and tap that bell so you know when I post up. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you all next time. Plus Ultra!